In our more than year-long look at the 10 competencies of outstanding leadership, one of the elements that we never talked about was the interplay of all of these competencies together, and also a little bit of relativism associated with these competencies. I think for some folks, it's hard to look at that entire body of work and saying, okay, here are 10 key competencies that as an entry-level supervisor I need to embrace. And the good news is, you don't have to. When you look at the 10 competencies, they really become associated with your organizational levels. Now, with that being said, the first 5 of those competencies, communication, tone setting, coaching, self-management, and the empowerment and development of others, those are going to be common in all organizational levels. So if you're a brand new team lead or the CEO of an organization, you have to be able to knock down all of those things. Now, within those competencies, some of the skills are a little bit different. Now, as a brand new team lead, do I need to be an effective communicator? Absolutely you do. You have to be a very good listener. You have to manage your body language. You have to be clear. You have to manage the tone of your communication. All of those are true. Now, when you start moving up in the organization, do you have to add some additional skills to the communication competency? And the answer to that is yes. Now you need to be concerned with things like, how well do I write? How well do I convey messages in writing? Even a little farther up in the organization, how well do I do in a public presentation environment? That then becomes level appropriate skill within that competency. Now back to the other competencies. Now, when you start moving up into mid-level management and senior management, now you need to engage and utilize all of the other competencies that were identified. And, you know, literally when you hit the highest level of an organization, when you are a director, a vice president, a CEO, a COO, you need to be able to engage all 10 of those competencies together simultaneously. And you need to be able to transition back and forth between those competencies extraordinarily effectively. Line level supervisor, they need to be able to do the same with the first 5 of the competencies, but not necessarily all 10. They should have a familiarity with the 10, but they don't need to engage them at the frequency that somebody in a more senior position would. Now, one other thought about that interplay of those competencies too. I would highly encourage you that even though you might not utilize a particular competency in your role today, understanding that competency, getting comfortable with it, engaging the skills associated with it is going to help your career progression. So you might say to yourself, look, I don't have to make a lot of decisions or ethical choices or exercise a lot of courage and strategic thinking. And you know what? I grant you that at your level. But for the next level up or the next 2 promotions you're going to get, you are going to have to use those. So developing those competencies now may actually be an important part of career management for you. And then a little final note about that entire competency interplay and the skills associated with it as well. In a modern changing working environment, the skills within those competencies, even though the competencies are going to remain solid foundation things, the skills within those are going to change sometimes. If you think back a simple comparison, writing now for most people becomes much more important because of the prevalence and the use of email, where maybe 10 years ago that wasn't such a prevalent skill set within the competency of communication. And then the final little reminder about all of the competencies is that they are built and displayed in a pyramid form, meaning the first competency, communication, becomes the most important one, and that every competency after that is built upon each other. And literally, to be an effective leader and an outstanding leader, you cannot jump up to a high level in the pyramid unless you've built the skills associated with those competencies below that. As we move forward with Monday Mentor, we're going to begin a look about your individual personality associated with the DISC profile, and also then, and I'm very excited about this, begin a journey into looking at team member engagement and the leader's impact in team member engagement.